This is Melanie. Let me just say something before we actually begin. If you would like to raise your hand or to say something, please state your name. So then that way, the people that are on Zoom, they're not able to see the audience and the members. So we would like them to know who is speaking. So Jeff, you have the floor.
Thank you, Melanie. Wow, I can even hear me. You might not know me. My name is Joe Elford. I'm the vice chair of the advisory committee. Earlier today, we learned that our illustrious chairperson, Martin, was communicating with us from down under, which I assume to be Australia. Having said that, I'm standing in for Martin for the purposes of chairing this meeting. So with that, we'll get started with introductions, and we'll go from there. And to make this simple, I've got a list of the names of the folks. So I will read them off, and if you're here, just to know. We know Melanie's here. Brad's on Zoom. Brad, I have not met you before. There you are. Okay, thank you. Chip Royce. Is he in the room? He's not with us. No. Okay. Cody.
He was going to join online, but I don't know if he got the link. He's out of state. Cody.
Okay. Katie Green. Jim Byrne. You know, you've been excused, but you're in isolation, correct? So thanks for joining us from your isolated spot. Myself, John Galley is excused. Tim Smith, Larry Lee. As I mentioned, Martin is in Australia.
Joe, can you correct my last name, please?
Do you have a new email? Because the email that was shared with us had Smith, and I was wondering why. But yes, we have it correct in the notes. Anyway, it's Kim Lucas.
Which email are you talking about, Sarah?
We are talking about an email that Joe's using to call roll that was given to him. That's an old list.
Oh, okay.
So, because Joe was asked to do this very last minute. So apologies, Kim Lucas.
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
Okay.
So this is the list that I'm working on. I think it's pretty accurate, but as I mentioned, some of you don't know me, and I have not met you either. So we're just about done here. Sarah is here, and Sharon Jennings is here as well. The next item is the approval of minutes, and apparently the minutes in August did not get approved. There may have been a technicality or a glitch in getting them all put together.
And it was our technical glitch.
Okay. So we do I have copies of those if anybody has any questions on either the August 31st or the October 19th meeting minutes. I'm not hearing anything.
Joe, this
Yes.
is Kim. I have no concerns. Sorry, my name is Kim Lucas. I don't see any issues with the August minutes. So I propose to approve both the minutes as read for August 31st and October 19th.
Okay, would someone like to second that motion? All right.
Yeah, this is Larry, I'll second the motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, so the meeting minutes for August 31st and October 19th are approved. Our next agenda item is the director's report. And we'll let Sarah Brennan speak to that.
Thank you. As Joe said, this is Sarah Brennan. Good to see everybody. Sorry again about the hiccups. One bad thing about doing the hybrid is we want to be accessible, but it does make it a little more challenging, and we tried everything and it didn't work. So tried it at first, it did work. Anyway, sorry about that. I will be quick to try to move this along. I'm going to do all the program updates really quickly. I'm going to do a skimmed down version to save some time. So I'll start off with the fact that we have, a vacant director here at DSDHH. We interviewed 5 candidates. There were 8 applicants, and we interviewed 5 candidates in December and did not select any of those candidates. I feel like we had really good representation on the interview panel. We had some hard of hearing representatives. We had the Utah Association of the Deaf. We had some community members and employees. So we tried to be inclusive, and I think we are all wanting to be as picky as possible this next round. So we are not going to settle. So the position is still open. I will be looking at how many candidates we might have sometime in February. And when we have enough to make it worth our time to interview, we will do another round of interviews and see what we get. I had to laugh. One of the applicants, who was one of the top couple, when I sent the letter saying we did not select him, he said, "Oh, well, I'm moving to South Africa anyway." So I'm like, why did you apply then? Oh my gosh. Anyway, so it all worked out for the best in round 1. We're going to start engaging in some additional outreach efforts and advertising, so hopefully we'll have some better luck next time. Okay, one other thing about DSDHH. I was going to put under a program update, but I just want to talk about it. So we have right now, most of you, when you walk in the front door, you check in on an iPad. And we ask some very basic information, and you do it every time you come in, and we use that information to track how many people use the center, how many people are coming in. But it doesn't give us the ability to do very effective analytics or data reports on who's coming to the center, why they're coming, what activities that they're participating in. We have a lot of right now, for example, we served about 8,000 people. We told the legislature we served 8,000 people that were unique. However, that includes all of you that come in the door. It includes people that come to different events that are being hosted. It doesn't really tell us how many unique deaf and hard of hearing or deafblind individuals are coming in for services versus, a room that, a state agency, gets the room available. And we're really concerned. We want to track the use of the building because that's important, because we have a building and we want to show that it's being used. But we also want to differentiate between non-DSDHH activities and DSDHH activities. So we have an option to use a system called Salesforce. It's used for just about everything. It started in the sales community, but it's just a way for us to track people, things they do, and activities that we host. It allows us to invite people to things. It allows people to register for things online. And it allows people to use a QR code on their phone when they come in to check in instead of having to fill out an iPad every time. So I can't guarantee that everything about it will more simple, because we're just figuring out, and whenever you upgrade technology, you always say it's more simple, and that's never true, but I think it's gonna get us better data. So, we're setting up that system right now. We will not go live with it until we have our procedures finished and provide some training and communication to anyone who would be using that new system. I'm just kind of starting to give people a heads up that it's coming, so that you won't be completely surprised when we do this. We're going to have options to help those who have trouble using phones to do things, or, other issues that would prevent them. They don't have a phone or an email or a computer. We will have ways to help those individuals register. So we can do it, or the individual can do it. And other than that, we need to get our system so we can look at it ourselves and play in it. Right now, our IT shop has been doing all the work. We've been giving them input on what we want. We'll be testing it through the rest of this month. And then Sherry Brown, who's our front desk person, she's our rehab tech. And then Amanda Brown, Amanda Brooks, thank you. We have an Amanda Brown, Provo. Okay. Will be kind of the administrators. So IT is helping us create the structure, but then we can have control over how we use it once we get better and better. So I guess I'm asking for some patience in advance, because this will be different. We will be doing some training, so you will hear more. Maybe we could do a training here at one of our meetings when we're ready. And you can give us some input on how the training goes. Okay, so those are the big updates. Any questions about that, Kim?
Okay, this is Kim. So we already purchased Salesforce. It is provided to us as a state. The state of Utah purchased licenses to it. So we have it. It's being programmed. We're kind of a pilot because we needed something, and it is a simple and cheap way rather than buying other types of software. But it means we have to do a lot of customizing to make it work for us. But yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a good resource, just to let you know.
Yeah. Oh, good. I'm glad I thought you were going to say you hated it. That would be good. Okay, good. And we like it because we have IT support, that will be available to us. And then we're going to train our own staff to be more expert in it as well. We'll be able to email people out directly. We could text from this platform, different events. We're really excited. And if you have ideas of how it works and you're familiar with it, you can let us know. Because we're all brand new.
Yeah, that's a customer management system, correct?
Yep, exactly.
I'm pretty familiar with that type of a system from the corporate America company standpoint, so.
Okay, good. So we'll keep you posted on that. Just quickly, I guess we don't have to go super quickly because we have a little bit of a abbreviated agenda, but so just quickly, the hard of hearing program is starting some classes next week for speech reading, beginning sign language, and for hard of hearing. Kelly has been busy. She's going to be interviewing for the St. George hard of hearing specialist position in the next couple of weeks. I put couple, Kelly, because chop, you need the help. And then also, we've had some applicants for the other hard of hearing specialists around the state. So Sue and Kelly and our other two don't have to do everything. And hopefully, it's just been very challenging with the wages. We increased that recently to 19 something an hour. So that might help. It was 16 something, I think, before. So hopefully that will help a little bit, but it is a very temporary, very limited hours. And so it's hard to recruit. So if you know people in the community, or people that would be interested for a side job, talk to Sue or Kelly. They can tell you all about it. Okay. We're trying to increase our outreach activities that we've been doing this recent month, actually today. some of our staff were asked by the Salt Lake City mayor to present on working with individuals who are deaf or hard of hearing. I am not going to go into a lot of detail because I haven't seen the PowerPoint. If the PowerPoint is interesting, I will send it out to everybody. I think it will be interesting. It's kind of a standard format. I can see Kelly looking at me like, what is, I don't know. It's okay. It's mainly about different approaches. I think we've done these in different forums, but it might be great and others might want to use it if it's helpful. So I'm going to look at it first and then I'll send it out if you guys want it. Okay, all right. We have some big events at the Sanderson Center next year, and I didn't want to go through a list of all of our events, but I wanted to do the big ones because the dates book up fast, and we want to make sure there's no conflicts and other things. So these are, as of right now, set. So through February and April, we're doing VITA clinics or voluntary income tax assistance. There's going to be availability for those online and in person. We're offering them here, Ogden, St. George, and Provo for the first time. We're going out of the county because it bugged me. Anyway, we're going to do them out of the county, and I'm really excited. So that will be great. Information will be coming out. I've seen the flyers. They're almost ready to go. They're working on some videos in ASL, and that information will go out on social media into our email blast. April 8th is our egg hunt, our annual surprise spring egg hunt. I just like to say, well, we don't want to, yeah, it's an egg hunt. That's great. June, we're having 12th through the 15th, we're having the camp, the kids camp that we do every year. September 12th through the 6th is the Deaf Festival. That's a celebration of Deaf Awareness Month. And there'd be a lot of different activities that would go along with that. And if anyone wants to partner or participate or work with us, please let us know. That is for deaf and hard of hearing, but it is a kind of a celebration of Deaf Awareness Month. In October 20th, it's our Halloween or Harvest Night that we have. It's been a lot of fun. I got to help decorate the building this year. It's very exhausting. It was a lot of work. Anyway, yeah, it was fun though. November 3rd to 4th is the Fall Bazaar. November 23rd will be our annual Thanksgiving dinner, lunch, I guess, normal lunch. And then December 15th is the Holiday Bash, where we usually have, we've been having a magic show and Santa and some other fun stuff for the kiddos and families. So you can always go to our website, which will be easier in Salesforce to view activities, I'm told, than our internet calendar right now, where we have activities in St. George and Salt Lake and hard of hearing all listed. Okay, I just quickly, yeah, let's do it. We have a new communication assessor. I don't know if any of you have met her. Her name's Yasi, Jasi. Yeah. And she is doing communication assessments for individuals who are deaf and hard of hearing. We get referrals from different groups like employers, immigration attorneys, law enforcement, where someone needs to know how to communicate with an individual more effectively. We actually videotape that individual and we test or assess lip reading, spelling, writing, reading, and sign language. And then the end result is we get a report that we would share, we get permission, and then we share that with the referring agency. So we've had some initial training on that. We've had three clients so far, and we want to do some outreach. So I'm just giving you a heads up that there will be a video and like a flyer being put together, and we'll make sure this group gets that so that you can help us spread the word. It's a great resource for our voc rehab counselors, and hopefully we don't get too overwhelmed, but right now I think we have some capacity and can help. Okay. Facility update real quick. We're in the process of having new lighting installed in the entire building. It'll be a lot brighter and lighter and LED, so more environmentally friendly. You probably noticed some of our hallways are really dark and dingy. We're also getting some quotes and some samples of paint and carpet. I think it's time where we might have matching carpet in every room in the building. I'd be really excited about that and get rid of the gray paint. So anyway, more on that later. And then lastly, I'm not going to give a UIP program update, but I wanted to give Jess, our new manager, an opportunity just to introduce herself. She's been, well, you can talk about one thing. So.
I got one.
Oh, you got one? Okay, great.
Hi, I'm Jess. Some of you I know, and you've been for a long time. Some of you I haven't met before, so it's very nice to meet you. I'm the new program manager for the Utah Interpreting Program, and I've been here for a whole 10 weeks now. Woo! So really exciting. I've tried to make a point before making any big changes to make sure that I listen carefully to what people need and what people want, and based on that, we've made a couple of changes already. I did a SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats with my team, and that was really insightful for me. Based on that, we've implemented a ticketing system for processing requests that come into UIP via email. We have updated our policies and procedure manual. That's the manual that governs certification for interpreters. It's the first time it's been updated in almost 5 years. And that document just went live today. So that's a big celebration. We're currently seeking feedback on our website, the portion of our website that's housed on DSDHH, to see what people want, what people need, and if they're able to find the information that they need when they get there. And that survey went live last Friday, and we're getting some great feedback on how we can make it better. So watch for that. And the last thing is, personally, I have a goal to make sure that Utah Interpreter Program more effectively utilizes social media for communicating updates, non-critical information versus somebody is going to lose their certification. That's going to be a personal communication to them. But for non-critical update and other information, using our social media account for that. And over the past month, our social media account has almost doubled in the number of people who have joined on to it. So we still have a long ways to go. There are just over 600 certified interpreters in the state, and we're approaching about 180 of them that have joined us on our social media site. So still a lot of work to do there, but we started it. We'll get there. That's it for me.
Okay, thanks. And that was it for me, unless there's any questions.
This is Kim here. I do have a question for you, Jess. With the UIP, I was wondering if it's possible for there to be a list of CDIs so we know who they are. Like, is it a possibility to make a specific request for this specific CDI for a specific situation? Is that a possibility? I mean, I don't know, I'm just throwing it out there. Jess is saying, that's a great question. So on our website, we do have a list of all certified interpreters. And on that list, we have arranged it by certification, the different types. So if you wanted to see who was a CDI specifically, you could use the filter to see who is a CDI. Now the request for a specific CDI, we are not the ones that are we're not an interpreting agency. So we're not the ones that are responsible for picking the different interpreters to go to the assignment. You would contact 5 Star, Interwest, ASL Conflict. Those would be the ones He would say, I want this CDI to come to this appointment, because that's the agency's responsibility, and they'll do their best to honor that request if they can. Sometimes they can, sometimes they can't. In that case, maybe that CDI is not working for that specific company. But if they do, then I'm expecting that they would do their best to honor your request, saying for like, oh, I want this specific interpreter. And they try to do their best to accommodate that. So sometimes the interpreters aren't available, but you know, we trust that most of the time the agency does their best to try to honor those type of requests. Kim is saying, the reason that I'm asking is because there's several people that have emailed me, like the UID president saying, where can I find an interpreter? And I'm like, oh, go here to this website. You can find the list there with all the information. And then the updated agency list. And so I'm always referring them over to that website. So I just wondered if it was a possibility or not. I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew what the resources were so that when they asked me, I could pass that information along. Just to say, yeah, honestly, I think we can do better. We can do a better job of making sure that the information on the website is more simplified and more clear, easier to find, and including that type of thing, the interpreter list. Kim is saying, yes, that would be great. And so I will just say, I'll add your feedback about that on the internet. Kim said, yes. I have a lot of feedback, but you know what? Email me back. I will go through it and I will put down all my different ideas. Jess says, sounds good.
Okay, thank you. Our next agenda item here is hard of hearing subcommittee report. And I think at the previous meeting, they were able to get about halfway through the hard of hearing subcommittee report. And that, just FYI, that subcommittee, see if I've got everybody on. Ellie, Sharon, Sue, Larry, Katie, Jim, and myself. So it's a combination of staff members and advisory council members. And I'm not that familiar with the different subcommittee attendees or participants. I want to say it's just same or similar mix, but I'm not sure. I think when Martin set that up, this is basically his, for lack of a better term, brainchild. And he has asked me to kind of shepherd the hard of hearing group, and he's shepherding the deaf group. So with that in mind, the exercise, the acronym SWOT is successes, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And I believe that at the previous advisory council meeting, that they got about halfway. They got through the first two, strengths and weaknesses. And just to give you an idea, this is basically the first step in this exercise. How to make things work better within your organization. In a nutshell. We have a long ways to go. I'm going to cover opportunities and threats. And then if we have a volunteer or someone would like to get started and or go through the deaf subcommittee report, we can entertain that if it's needed. But my sense is that's kind of Martin's thing. And unless you were there, it's probably pretty new to me. Or you may not have the information.
Kim is saying, I'd like to help with that, but I don't have a list.
Martin has it.
Right.
Martin has it.
Yeah. I was just, Sarah and I talked a little bit about it. Do we want to cover that in Martin's absence? We thought maybe because we had somebody that would like to do that. However, absent that list that Martin has.
Kim is saying, but honestly, what you're talking about, like in your part, it's almost very similar. Like, they're very similar. And so I'm a little shocked. I'd like to hear more about the opportunities and threats, those two. And from that, then we can get the deaf to respond and say, yes, we're the same on these, or we can add other ones, you know, that maybe they didn't know. So I think it'd be a good start from your aspect first, and then we'll take it from there. Because we are pretty loud people, right? I'm not sure, maybe I'm wrong, but I mean, we're loud, right? I don't know, am I wrong?
You know, I think you brought up a good point, but without that list, it's gonna make it pretty awkward. But anyway, I'll move forward with opportunities and threats in the hard period. And just bear in mind, this is a brainstorming exercise. So, there's a lot to be boiled down out of it before we get to the end. So with opportunities, we have, and I provided this group, I don't know if our zoomed in folks have access to a copy of that or not.
I forgot that. Melanie's saying, I forgot that part. I will send that to you, Brad and Jim, okay?
Okay. On opportunities, we have created internships to allow others to learn and understand, outreach, doing contacts with professionals that work with those with hearing loss, do road trips, stop at places and talk to people. Presentations with audiology students at colleges and universities. Utilize the communications team to help with creating flyers and other printed materials. Obtain feedback and more insight from participants and consumers. Finding ways to delegate more to those that are willing to help to ensure the program is successful. Educate about the process of how a government agency works and how to work with those in the process. Allow for feedback by providing a suggestion box. Allow customers and staff to provide insight or suggestions. Hard of hearing supervisor, take the opportunity to get the gate out and to have the time to cover staffing needs, management needs, review protocols for taking care of things, create protocol for marketing, working on things with communication management. Utilize the consumers hard hearing program and ask them to get the word out related to marketing the program. Create a committee of volunteers who would be willing to help share out the program. What better group of those that have taken advantage of what the program has to offer to sell. Have hard of hearing consumers learn more about deaf culture to understand why and how and what it means. Find out what the expectations are from a legislative perspective and learn from them and find ways to help meet the overall agency goals. Seek to improve collaborations with agencies, groups, organizations, etc. Obtain feedback from previous and current consumers of the hard of hearing program. Seek to learn from other state programs and how to work together and how they function. The final component of SWOT is threats. It's pretty short here what the group had come up with. Not having staff to make the program successful. No one wants to work. Challenges of not knowing how to use technology, especially consumers who are technology challenged. Lack of knowledge of deaf culture and hard of hearing issues. So that's a quick rundown of the opportunities and threats. And unless someone wants to move forward with that same type of report from the deaf subcommittee, we'll kind of table that to our next meeting.
Kim, Judge, please. I mean, I don't want to risk myself to be drawing out things that we didn't discuss during our subcommittee meeting. Joe, this is Kim. I would like to ask you one thing now. About the legislature, I'm curious. For the hard of hearing group, do you feel awkward meeting a legislator, being able to discuss and convince your position, your needs, whatever you need for help, asking for money? I mean, do you feel awkward doing that?
Personally, I wouldn't, and the reason I say that is I worked for a state government organization, Department of Natural Resources, and we had a lot more contact with legislators than the average there. So,
And Kim said that's very nice, especially about that, because, you know, as UAD, the Utah Association for the Deaf, it's very hard because I don't have anybody within my organization that has that to be able to hear what's going on with a legislator or what could possibly be a threat or something that might be taken away from our community. Without having that intimate knowledge, I have been very, very nervous about approaching, the legislature. And that is something that I'm concerned that they're going to be reducing what we could possibly obtain as the deaf community. And I'm grateful that things have remained the same, but at the same time, I'm weary. I feel that they have something under their skates that I don't know. I feel like there's something going on. I mean, do you guys hear anything? You didn't know anything that might be going on with their discussion on budgets?
So I think this is where, one area where I can help, couple ways. I mean, really the whole legislative process, I'm happy to give overviews, and I have some information about like how it works and how to track things and what you'd be caring about, what committees, would be where you want to look. A lot of it now is just knowing where to look on the website. Every appropriation, anyway, we could do an overview. I mean, I'd be more than happy to do it for anyone about how it works, because like, Joe said, we're up there all the time, or at least listening to committee meetings, and if I saw something, I would let you know. But I may not be aware of all the issues that I should care about and what those impacts are. There's a public service commission committee, there's social services committee, and that's the money side. And then there's interim committees and the House and Senate committees. So, I can tell you how a process works. If you tell me I kind of keep my eye out for things that I think might affect the very multiple communities that we do serve, including any people with disabilities. So, we do kind of track. There are some other groups out there that also do that you can get on email lists and at least, hear about some things. So I'd be happy to strategize or meet with you guys at UAD and talk about some of those things, if that would be helpful and how we can better partner.
Kim says that would be great. At the same time, the emails, I don't know what language they're talking.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so very advanced and within their own perspective. I wish that they could just give it to us in plain English,
What?
exactly what you mean.
So they don't do that, they want to keep you guessing, they don't know, I shouldn't say that. There is uneducated as we are, Kim, is the problem. Legislators are usually very uninformed, they learn as they have been there. It's the attorneys and the legislative research, general counsel, the fiscal analysts that, you know, all these rules are kind of set up, and so it's second day of the session today. I listened to a committee meeting where about a third of the members were brand new. I mean, never been in that committee before, even a legislator, and they were as lost as I was the first time that I did it. So it's tough, but there are some strategies and some things you can do to kind of sort by subject, see what kind of bill files are out there. I've done presentations on this. I could probably put something together, which is kind of the basic steps of how to track, how to find out if something's happening. And then there are several trainings that are sponsored by different groups. I don't think they've primarily had them accessible in ASL, and I have asked them, you know, why they don't have someone participating. So we can talk after. I'm happy to help build some bridges there.
Those things, yes, I just want to throw out the opportunity so we can collaborate, you know, with, you know, the hard of hearing and UAD and the Deaf Center as a whole. So then that way we all know how legislation sessions are going to go and what we need to basically watch out for, you know, so we can have maybe a series of, you know, workshops once a month, something like that. So then that way we can learn what the process is. Just throwing that out there.
And if you do see things, or you see things on the news, or you read things that you want to ask me about, I'm happy to find a good way to either an expert, or we can get an interpreter and we'll talk about it. And I'll try to explain it the best I can. I'm not an expert in all content either, but I can at least try to connect the dots on what to look for, where to look, and how the process works so you can be part of it if you have concerns or you're in favor of it. So, and the same offer goes to you guys. I mean, you know, there's been things about closed captioning. You know, there was a resolution a couple of years ago that UAD was interested in, a legislator approached them about doing, and I actually got permission to help educate and represent DWS on that and the governor. So there's always a possibility that if you want myself or other people in the department to help educate or navigate a bill or navigate a process, we need to know about it, and then we need to submit that to the governor's office for review, make sure they're not like totally opposed to it or whatever, and they can be neutral, they can support it. They could oppose it, they probably wouldn't, it would be out of their scope, most likely. But there are times when I just need to know about it, and then I can get the ball rolling and get our attorney involved and all the internal people that have to give their approvals, and I can do that. So use me.
Oh, Kim's saying this is great. Now I know who I can go to. Now, what about LCPD? Do you know that group?
Yeah, it's a legislative coalition for people with disabilities. And that has been kind of recently revamped. Right now, Everett Fagan is chairing it. And he's the president of the NFB, the National Federation for the Blind in Utah. They have not had good deaf representation, and I would highly recommend that we meet with them. And so if there's someone that you think, or yourself, or someone that would like to work with me to make introductions and to kind of get involved on that committee, I'd be happy to. I usually participate. I got off the list for a long time, but I noticed they put me back on. So I do get the meeting agenda items. They do a legislative tracker. You know, they have not been focused on these issues, but it would be very good to get them engaged. They're a pretty strong group, and it's supposed, you know, so.
Kim says, yes, I understand that they are a very strong group, but they always have meetings during my work hours. And it's hard because I need to be able to find somebody to represent our community, and it's tough, it's tough. I'm having a hard time finding anybody that'd be willing to do it. But that's one of the opportunities that I think that, we can help each other and coordinate anything,
And I'm happy to bring issues to them. I just can't take a position on them unless we go through that process. So, I mean, you can get signed up. Well, you obviously get the emails because you know when the meetings are, but you can't go. So, anyway, Matt Waffett's probably the best person to talk to. I think he's kind of chairing. He's with Utah State University. He'd probably be a good person to connect with about how to collaborate.
Kim says, okay, great,
But I can,
thank you.
Okay, thanks, Kim. I was just thinking about the legislature.
And Kim's asking, I think this would benefit the hard hearing group as well if we were able to, engage that way.
But Sarah, you may know a little bit more about this, but I believe you can get an opportunity to see how a guided tour, if you will, on how the legislature works. They'll walk you through what's going on the floor and the different chambers, and that might be worthwhile for both the deaf and the hard of hearing. Just to get yourself educated a little bit on how that whole legislative process works. So with that, we're kind of moving into the roundtable. I guess this item is the opportunity for everyone to ask questions or if they have comments about what's been on the agenda or future items that they may want to have for our next meeting.
or share any updates. I know we've done that before too. Any announcements?
Kim says, the National Association for the Deaf, I can send out updates on what's been going on there, so. Yeah, so Joe, you'll have the floor. If I get going on my pedestal, I won't stop tonight, so.
You guys are letting me know.
Joe, this is Kim. So we are doing roundtable right now. Okay.
She wants to know, are you doing roundtable?
Yes. Yeah. I think.
Are there,
Yes, it is. Also roundtable.
Who wants to go first? Anybody? Kim says, okay, I'm going to go ahead and start. There's several things. I think there's 4 things altogether that I'd like to brief on. Now, UAG will host 3 big events this year. We've been very busy with that. One is a mental health summit, and this is going to be in February next month. I am so ready to send out the advertisement and the word. This is going to be free for all as long as they register. It's free for everyone. We will have Melissa Yinks. So Melissa, Yinst, that's the last name. Melissa is a very famous deaf individual from Arizona. I believe that on Instagram and Facebook, it's, Mel Mira. She's planning on coming and presenting at that summit, and she has made such a huge impact to the deaf community. From our UAB conference last year, so many people enjoyed her presentation and has requested that she come back. So this is a perfect opportunity for her to come back and actually talk about mental health. The theme of that summit is to find your freedom. I mean, if people are stuck with finances, find your freedom. Financial freedom, being able to search for a job, being able to prepare for interviews, being self-reliant, self-care. There's going to be so many different topics that we are going to be presenting during that summit. Now, Melissa is going to be kicking off the event for about an hour, maybe an hour and a half. And then we are planning on having a mini town hall to try and engage people about what are you feeling about with mental health? What do you think about therapy, therapists, insurance issues? We are trying to collect information from the community so we know what we can kind of focus on, something to be able to advocate for in the future, possibly providing services, collaboration. We just need to find something to get it going within the state. The second event is going to be the Deaf Festival, and that will be taking place here at the Sanderson Center. I am taking over the whole entire building for the Deaf celebration. We're going to have artists. We are going to have maybe 1 or 2 special guest speakers come in. I'm not going to announce names just yet. I'm still working on the details.
When?
Oh, when is that? That is possibly happening the first weekend of May. I am sure that there's not going to be any conflict, right? Sarah?
Sure.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the first weekend of May. Melanie saying, would you mind going back? When is the first event that you're doing the mental health summit? Oh, February 17th, Kim states. It's going to be Saturday holiday, so it's a month from today. And it is going to be held here at the Sanderson Center. We will have 4 different workshops in the afternoon, so February 17th. Sorry, I'm all over the place, so please let me know if I need to go back to anything. The second event, the Deaf Festival, will have many booths. They have to be deaf related, deaf anything, to be able to be presented there. There is one special person that I think they're going to be agreeing to come, but we'll see.
One question. So we should just talk about name and purpose, so, because I don't want there to be confusion about what each of us are doing, because we have a Deaf Festival also, so let's just chat offline and make sure that, so that when we market things and we are clear on what we're doing. I'm all for as many gatherings as we can do, but I think ours is called the same thing, so let's just chat that.
And says, okay, yep, I will get in contact with you and touch base. The third event, we will have the UAB conference. That will be taking place at the 3rd Deaf School in Springville, the Bradley Building. The reason why we had decided to have it at the Springville campus is because the school is named after the UAB president. It's the first female president of UAB, and they have not had another female president for 110 years until I came in. So I am the second UAB president that is a female. So it's a very fitting, last event because I am on my last term and it's going to be my last event, so.
Director of USOR too, so I knew we liked each other. In 100 years, in 100 years.
Wow. Yeah, we do have a lot in common.
Is that true, Judy Buckman?
Oh, okay.
Trying to think of a good name, it's probably in the state. Kim is, okay, the third event, right now, we haven't locked down the specific date. It's gonna be the latter part of summer, early part of fall. I'm still working on that one. So any questions about the 3 events? Okay, we are also hosting the National Association for the Deaf, NAD. We've been working together with NFL, the National League of Football, and Fox News, coming to an agreement, trying to figure out who is going to be the deaf individual to perform the national anthem and the halftime show during the Super Bowl. And oh my goodness, some state agencies are so upset with NAD. They ask, why did you not, associate yourselves with a lot of the state agencies and get suggestions from the states? There's only one individual within NAD that has been involved with the Super Bowl preparation. They have not been involving the board of NAD or other states. There's only one individual, and it's the CEO, Howard Rosenbaum. Howard has been the representative for the whole deaf community, and he's made suggestions. And if he leaks any information to the staff or to NAD, our relationship with NFL will disintegrate. So that's why many deaf people did not realize the significance of allowing Howard to take care of all of the details. So with that information being publicized, now gathering information from each of the states, we figured why not have UAD, the Deaf Center, the agencies, the interpreting agencies, the hard of hearing agencies, all collaborate or submit some ideas to bring out more awareness of the services that we can provide here through sports, RSL, or with the Jazz, with the Utes, BYU, whatever sporting events that's happening within our own state. The state of Illinois, they have the Chicago Cubs. And they already know that, deaf people need accessibility. They provide it, no questions asked. And the reason for that is because the interpreting agencies, the Illinois RID sector, so we have a Utah RID sector, Illinois have their own sector. But that organization basically collaborated with the Chicago Cubs to be able to provide that association, that accessibility. They work together hand in hand. And, I thought that would be something that we should do as a state, basketball, soccer with RSL, whatever sporting events that are popular here, being able to develop that relationship. Hockey, that's right, thank you, Kelly, for bringing that up. So that's something that I wanted to bring out to the floor. That is something that we can all collaborate together to be able to establish those relationships to get accessibility out. So those, speed skating, yes.
Olympic oval and there's tons of.
I didn't think that was popular here.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Oh my goodness. I did not know that. Did you know that, Melanie?
It's the old Olympic oval, and they have world
Yeah, the hard
championships
turn
there.
there. Did you know that Steve Skate was huge here in Utah?
Well,
No, I haven't
It's
heard
not
much about it.
huge, it's just that we offer events there, World Cup events at the skating center. So it would be a great opportunity to get a little more buy-in and hook people in, yeah.
He says, oh my gosh, I just learned something new tonight. Jeff says, yes, it's the Olympic Oval. They have the world's fastest ice. So every speed skater in the world wants to race here. And so you can buy tickets to go and watch them. I mean, it is so cool. And they're really fast. Oh my gosh, it's fascinating. And just to let you know, if you meet with Howard Rosenbaum, just, that's one goal for Super Bowl, is to keep the camera on the interpreter the whole time, please. The whole time. Kim says, oh, yes, that is exactly why NAD is involved in the discussions with the NFL and Fox. You know, every 3 years, there is a different media output. There's a different contract that is awarded for Super Bowl. Last year, I think it was ABC, or maybe it's CBS. I don't remember what the Super Bowl was on last year, but anyways, this year it is Fox. And the Fox network and Howard, they've been talking about not making the same mistakes as what happened last year. What are their ideas? What are their plans? I have no idea. But I know that that is a goal, is to keep the camera on the interpreter the whole time. And the whole body signing, so we can actually see. But it took them 12 years to be able to establish that relationship, to be able to negotiate terms with the NFL, to even invite them. So you have to understand, it's a very sensitive subject and situation, so just FYI. This is something that we should try here within the state level, just to see what we could possibly do with our local news and sporting events. Kim says, I'm done with my report, Jill. Next.
Jim, since you represent HLAA, do you want to give any report about what's going on with our HLAA group?
I'm not really prepared to do that. We had our meeting today, but
He's not really prepared to do that.
So Jim, it seems like we cannot hear you, but the captioner can. I wonder why that must be.
Yeah, and it says he's not prepared, so Jim, if you want to pass till next meeting, that's fine.
You pass.
Okay, I think we're about ready to wrap up here. Thanks. Thanks, Kim, for your comments.
Joe, I would like to propose that we adjourn the meeting.
Okay, is there a second?
Brad, seconding.
I think so. We have a second, and the meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.
I think we should do no, you did a great job. I know you don't want to be a chair, but. We should do a sign of the day. This meeting, you know,
Thank you for setting this up, Melanie.
I always forget, man.
Month.
Month. Hey, like, do some sign instruct, just one word, you know, one word. You guys
They
pick.
gotta be clean words.
Yeah, oh, yes,
Right.
yes, although they're more fun than the other kinds, but yeah. It's good. Okay. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, thank you for helping me out with that.
That we come up with one.
I've been thinking about this. And
I said, must be clean words.
Not like when we were in class. Fear, beach,
Brown,
Just doing those spots stuff.
brown bread,
or
fear.
breakfast.
That's more to all.
Or something. Or something, I can't remember what it was. Yeah. This is.
I like the word.
Like beach, we spelled it.
Yeah.